Brothers and sisters in Christ, today is the 43rd World Communication Sunday with the theme, New Technologies, New Relationships, promoting a culture of respect, dialogue, and friendship. Now the first reading brought to us a figure from 2,000 years ago. His name is Peter. Peter was an ordinary Jewish man whom Jesus saw when he passed by the Sea of Galilee and called to become his disciple. This simple fisherman is not known for his eloquence in speech. But today we have just heard from the Acts of the Apostles how he communicated to the brothers using the scriptures to convince them that Judas' place in apostleship must be replaced by another brother. And they listened to him. Why? Because his authority did not come from himself. Jesus appointed him to be the shepherd of his flock. He was the rock on which Jesus' church was to be built. Today, St. Peter's successor, the 266th Pope, Benedict XVI, also communicates to us through his letter addressing the 43rd World Communication Day. So let us listen to him. The Pope addresses first to the youth. He wrote, I would like to address young Catholic believers to encourage them to bring the witness of their faith to the digital world. I ask you to introduce into the culture of this new environment of communication and information technology the values on which you have built your lives. It falls in particular on young people who have an almost spontaneous affinity to the new means of communication, to take on the responsibility to evangelize this digital continent. Be sure to announce the gospel to your peers with enthusiasm. You know their fears, hopes, aspirations, and disappointments. The greatest gift you can give to them is to share with them the good news of a God who became man, who suffered, died, and rose again to save all people. Next, the Pope acknowledges the advantages. He wrote, these new technologies are truly a gift to humanity. The accessibility of mobile telephones and computers combined with the internet has opened up a range of communication that permits the almost instantaneous communication of words and images. Many benefits flow from this new culture of communication. Families are able to maintain contact across great distances, and the interactive nature of this new media facilitates more dynamic forms of learning and communication, thereby contributing to social progress. Now I'm going to divert for a moment from the lecture now. I want to ask you, how many of you actually watched the American Idol finale? I think many. I also watched. How many of you were actually disappointed with the result? I met several people who said they're very disappointed because they are really going for Adam Lambert. But I'm sure that there are also many who like Chris Allen. Personally, I feel that Adam Lambert has more value in the quality of his voice and also more trained voice. But you see, the thing is, this is not a singing competition. the judges, especially Simon Cowell, still believe this is a singing competition, but it is not. It is a popularity competition. The point I try to make here is this. About 20 years ago, we never think that this, never even think of it, possible. When somebody sings and a singing competition, it's the judges who determine. But now, people determine. You can send your text using mobile telephones, and I heard this in the newspaper. Even people in Singapore were voting. One person said, send 1,500 votes for Chris Allen. Another one, 1,200 for Adam Lambert. That's why Adam Lambert lost. Short by 300. Sent from Singapore, all the way from Singapore. You see, this is the power of this mobile phone. This is what the Pope is referring to. It's the digital world. I will repeat. The Pope then explains the reason why we like it, and this is, I find it very, very good. He wrote, the new technologies are popular because they respond to the fundamental desire of people to communicate and to relate to each other. This desire is rooted in our very nature as human beings. When we find ourselves drawn towards others, when we want to know more about them and make ourselves known to them, we are responding to God's call. A call that is imprinted in our nature as being created in the image and likeness of God. The God of communication and communion. The concept of friendship has enjoyed a renewed prominence in the new digital social networks. True friendship is one of the greatest goods any human person can experience. We should not trivialize this. But the Pope also gives warning. He said, it would be sad if our desire to sustain and develop online friendship were to be at the cost of our availability to engage with our families, our neighbors, and those we meet in our daily reality. If the desire for virtual connectedness becomes obsessive, it may isolate individuals from real social interaction. Signed, Benedictus the 16th. Brothers and sisters, that's quite a long letter. I hope you're still with me. The key word for me here is true friendship. Because friends spontaneously share what is important to them. And if the good news of the gospel is really meaningful to us, we would want to share them with others at all costs. This is what has been done by the many martyrs and saints of the Church. So let us now gain insight into this through an ordinary person who gave his own life for others, following the footsteps of his Master. I will share with you a short but interesting episode of Father Damien's life in Molokai leprous colony. Dr. Woods, a leper specialist, gave a 7-day visit in July 1876. This doctor and Damien became friends, and Woods followed Damien around. He accompanied Damien on visits to patients and was shocked to see Damien puffing on a pipe that came from the mouth of a leper. He ate from the family board. The doctor warned Damien that he seemed to be courting infection. But the priest explained that it was only in this way that he could win the people's trust. One day, Damien was called to the side of a 3-year-old girl who was dying. She was too young for the last rites, but he was able to give her a lonely loan.